Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome you all for book reading session of a new book, Perfect Questions and Perfect Answers by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This book is not actually written as a book, but this is a compilation of the conversations happened between A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and a science teacher from the Western countries who visited India, Bob Cohen. Later, he accepts the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and practices and becomes the disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Perfect questions, perfect answers. About the author. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the world's most distinguished teacher of Vedic religion and thought.
Hare Krishna, sorry Prabhuji, can you please increase the volume?
You are able to hear me now?
Low Prabhuji.
What about others? Others are able to hear me properly?
On my mobile I given full volume.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, we are able to hear.
Please
Voice is
check,
audible.
please check your volume levels, Mataji.
I've put Prabhu. Anyway, I'll check. No problem. Continue, Prabhu. Sorry.
Yeah. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the world's most distinguished teacher of Vedic religion and thought, is the author of Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Nectar of Devotion, and many other English versions of Vedic literature. He is the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that is ISKCON, which has hundreds of centers throughout the world. Introduction. God, spiritual life. Those were such vague terms to me before I met Srila Prabhupada. I have always been interested in religion, but before I met the Krishna conscious devotees, somehow I did not have the proper perspective needed to inquire fruitfully about spiritual life. The existence of a creator is only common sense. But who is God? Who am I? I had been to Hebrew school and had studied Oriental philosophy, but I could never get satisfying answers to my questions. I first heard the Hare Krishna mantra in Greenwich Village, New York in late 1968. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The chanting was captivating and it made me feel very comfortable. The mantra stuck in my mind, and I soon regretted that I had not taken a magazine from the devotees. As explained to me later, a transcendental seed had been planted that could eventually ripen into love of Godhead. Several months later, I came across a card with the Hare Krishna mantra on it. The card promised, chant these names of God and your life will be sublime. I would occasionally chant and I found that the mantra did, in fact, give me a feeling of peace of mind. After graduating from college of a BS in chemistry, I joined the Peace Corps in 1971 and went to India as a science teacher. In India, I inquired about the Hare Krishna movement. I was attracted by the chanting and intrigued by the philosophy, and I was curious about the movement's authenticity. I had visited the Krishna temple in New York several times before going to India, but I did not consider the seemingly austere life of a devotee for myself. In India, I first met the Krishna conscious devotees at a festival they were holding in Calcutta during October of 1971. The devotees explained to me the purpose of yoga and the need to inquire about spiritual life. I began to feel that the rituals and ceremonies they practiced were not dull, sentimental obligations, but a real, sensible way of life. At first, it was very difficult for me to understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. In so many subtle ways, my Western upbringing prevented me from seeing things that were as plain as the nose of my face. Fortunately, the devotees convinced me of the need to practice some few basic austerities, and in this way, I began to gain some insight into spiritual life. I can now recall how distant and tenuous were my concepts of spirituality and transcendental existence. I met Srila Prabhupada briefly at this time in November of 1971, and shortly thereafter, I decided to become a vegetarian. I was proud of being a vegetarian, but later Srila Prabhupada reminded me that even pigeons are too. In February of 1972, I met some devotees in Calcutta who invited me to a festival in Mayapur, a holy island 90 miles to the north. The festival was to be held in honor of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is considered an incarnation of Krishna himself. I had been I had then been planning a trip to Nepal, but the Peace Corps denied me permission to leave India, and so I went to Mayapur. I left for Mayapur planning to satisfy, sorry, I left for Mayapur planning to stay for 2 days at the most, but I ended up staying a week. I was the only Western non-devotee on the island. And since I was living with with the devotees on their land, this was a unique opportunity to learn intimately about Krishna consciousness. On the third day of the festival, I was invited in to see Srila Prabhupada. He was living in a small hut, half brick and half thatched, with two or three pieces of simple furniture. Srila Prabhupada asked me to be seated and then asked how I was and whether I had any questions. The devotees had explained to me that Srila Prabhupada could answer my questions because he represents a disciplic succession of spiritual masters. I thought that Srila Prabhupada might really know what is going on in the world. After all, his devotees claimed this, and I admired and respected them. So, with this in my mind, I began to ask my questions. Inadvertently, I had approached a guru or spiritual master in the prescribed way by submissively asking questions about spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada seemed pleased with me, and over the next several days, he answered my questions. I asked them mostly from an academic point of view, but he always gave me personal answers so that I would actually spiritualize my life. His answers were logical, scientific, satisfying, and amazingly lucid. Before I met Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, spiritual life was always obscure and nebulous. But discussions with Srila Prabhupada were realistic, clear, and exciting. Srila Prabhupada was patiently trying to help me understand that Krishna, God, is the supreme enjoyer, supreme friend, and supreme proprietor. I put forward many impediments to accepting the obvious that I would have to become serious about God consciousness to understand God. But Srila Prabhupada relentlessly yet kindly urged me on. Even though I had little ability to express myself, Srila Prabhupada understood my every inquiry and answered perfectly. Bob Cohen August 14, 1974. So this is the story narrated by Bob Cohen, how he came in touch with the Krishna consciousness movement, how he came to India, how he met Srila Prabhupada, and that changed his entire life. So, in this book, we will be reading all those conversations. We'll be getting answers to many of our pending questions. Because anybody who is little intelligent in this world have all these questions in their mind. And Srila Prabhupada has destroyed the ignorance of those who ask these questions with great compassion. Just like it is said, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kahe, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Haya. But Bob Cohen, he got association, Sadhu Sangha, for many days. And that is how he was fully convinced about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And especially as we go through this book, you will understand how Srila Prabhupada convinces him about Krishna alone being the supreme enjoyer, the supreme friend, and the supreme proprietor. And Bob Cohen then takes up spiritual life very seriously and becomes a formal disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we'll go one by one. Chapter 1, Krishna, the All-Attractive. So this conversation happened on February 27, 1972. Bob, what is a scientist? Srila Prabhupada. One who knows things as they are. Bob, he thinks he knows things. He thinks he knows things as they are. Srila Prabhupada. What? Bob, he hopes he knows things as they are. Srila Prabhupada. No, he is supposed to know. We approach the scientist because he is supposed to know things correctly. A scientist means one who knows things as they are. Krishna means all attractive. Bob, all attractive. Srila Prabhupada, yes. So unless God is all attractive, how can he be God? A man is important when he is attractive, is it not? Bob, it is so, Srila Prabhupada. So God must be attractive and attractive for all. Therefore, if God has any name, or if you want to give any name to God, only Krishna can be given. But Bob, why only the name Krishna? Srila Prabhupada, because he is all attractive. Krishna means all attractive. Bob, oh, I see. Srila Prabhupada, yes, God has no name, but by his qualities we give him names. If a man is very beautiful, we call him beautiful. If a man is very intelligent, we call him wise. So the name is given according to the quality. Because God is all attractive, the name Krishna can be applied only to him. Krishna means all attractive. It includes everything. Bob. But what about a name meaning all powerful? Yes. Unless you are powerful, how can you be all attractive? Shyama an American devotee of Srila Prabhupada, he's Srila Prabhupada's secretary at that time. He says, it includes everything. Srila Prabhupada, everything. He must be very beautiful. He must be very wise. He must be very powerful. He must be very famous. Bob, is Krishna attractive to rascals? Srila Prabhupada. Oh, yes, he was the greatest rascal also. Bob, how is that? Srila Prabhupada laughing because he was always teasing the gopis. Tamasundara, teasing? Srila Prabhupada, yes. Sometimes when Radharani would go out, Krishna would attack her. And when she would fall down, Krishna, don't torture me in that way. They would fall down. And Krishna would take the opportunity and kiss her. He laughs. So Radharani was very pleased. But superficially, Krishna was the greatest rascal. So unless rascaldom is in Krishna, how could rascaldom be existent in the world? Our formula of God is that He is the source of everything. Unless rascaldom is in Krishna, how can it be manifest? Because He is the source of everything, because He is the source of everything. But His rascaldom is so nice that everyone worships His rascaldom. Right? So when a same thing any person of this world imitates, he will get nice slaps, right? But Krishna's rascaldom, right? When Krishna does this, even Radharani is most happy. And all those devotees who hear these pastimes, they also take great pleasure in hearing such pastimes, because these pastimes of Krishna are not on a mundane platform. This we should understand first, that Krishna and Radharani, they are not ordinary people. They are transcendental personalities. They are not under the laws of nature. They are not governed by the modes of nature. And Srila Prabhupada, you might wonder that how can Srila Prabhupada call Krishna as rascal? Right? But Srila Prabhupada, being a pure devotee, he keeps the right. Right? A pure devotee has all the rights to chastise Krishna, to scold Krishna, to call Krishna as a thief, a rascal, right? Only a pure devotee has those rights, not we, who are under the modes of material nature, who are bound by the laws of nature, by karma. When we try to imitate that, we have to face the reactions. Because Krishna is so magnanimous, so merciful, that whenever a devotee completely surrenders unto him, he is ready to get any kind of treatment from that devotee. We see that in the pastimes of Krishna. Mother Yashoda, apparently she is mother of Krishna, but she is a great devotee of the Lord. That is why Krishna chooses Mother Yashoda to chastise himself. Right? Krishna is running, doing a mistake, and Yashoda Mai is running behind him to catch him and bind him with a stick. That is Krishna. So Prabhupada, being pure devotee of Krishna, sometimes Prabhupada tells his disciples that I was not ready to come to this material world. Because Srila Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha devotee. He is always in the spiritual world, in eternal pastimes with Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada says that I was not ready to come to this material world, but Krishna told me, Krishna forced me, no, you have to go to the material world, and you have to bring some souls back to the spiritual world. Krishna forced me to come to this material world. So such a Nitya Siddha devotee, the pure devotee, can take pleasure in scolding Krishna, right? Bob, what about the rascals who are not so nice? Because Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna's rascaldom is so nice that everyone worships his rascaldom. Right? Where can you find a thief who is worshipped? Right? Krishna is worshipped as a thief in the entire world. Where can you find a warrior who runs away from the battlefield? Krishna is worshipped as Makhancho. Sorry, Krishna is worshipped as Ranachor, one who left the battlefield and went away. That is Krishna. Everything, every act of Krishna is worshipable because it is not contaminated by the modes of material nature. So Bob asks, what about the rascals who are not so nice? Srila Prabhupada, no, rascaldom is not nice, but Krishna is absolute. He is God. Therefore, his rascaldom is also good. Therefore, his rascaldom is also good. Krishna is all good. God is good. Bob, yes. Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, when he becomes a rascal, that is also good. That is Krishna. Rascaldom is not good, but when it is practiced by Krishna, because he is absolutely good, that rascaldom is also good. This one has to understand. Bob, are there some people who do not find Krishna attractive? Srila Prabhupada, no. All people will find him attractive. Who is not attracted? Just give an example. This man or this living entity is not attracted to Krishna. Just find such a person. Bob, somebody who wishes to do things in life that he may feel are wrong, but who wishes to gain power or prestige or money. Bob is giving the answer to the question that can he give an example of a person who doesn't like Krishna or for whom Krishna is not attractive. Bob says somebody who wishes to do things in life that he may feel are wrong, but who wishes to gain power or prestige or money. Prabhupada, yes. Bob, may find God unattractive. He may not find God attractive because God gives him guilt. Prabhupada, no, not God. His attraction is to become powerful. A man wants to become powerful or rich. A man wants to become powerful or rich. Is it not? But nobody is richer than Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is attractive to him. Bob, if a person who wants to become rich prays to Krishna, will he become rich? Srila Prabhupada, oh yes. Bob, he can become rich through this means? Srila Prabhupada, oh yes, because Krishna is all powerful. If you pray to Krishna to become rich, Krishna will make you rich. Bob, if somebody lives an evil life but prays to become rich, he may still become rich? Srila Prabhupada, yes, praying to Krishna is not evil. Bob, oh yes. Srila Prabhupada, somehow or other he prays to Krishna. So you cannot say that he is evil. Bob, yes. Srila Prabhupada, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Apichet Suduracharo Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhag. Have you read it? Bob, yes. The Sanskrit I don't know, but the English I do. Srila Prabhupada, Bob, even if the most evil man prays to me, Srila Prabhupada, yes. Bob, he will be elevated. Srila Prabhupada, yes. As soon as he begins to pray to Krishna, that is not evil. Therefore, he is all attractive. It is said in the Vedas that the absolute truth or the supreme personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all pleasure. Raso vai saha. This comes in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Everyone is hankering after someone because he realizes some mellow in it. Bob, excuse me, Srila Prabhupada, some mellow. Suppose a man is drinking. Why is he drinking? He is getting some mellow out of that drinking. A man is hankering after money because by possessing money, he gets some mellow out of it, right? So we see, in our surrounding also we see people will have enough money. Still they want to accumulate more money. Why? Because in accumulating more and more wealth, they get some kind of pleasure, they get some kind of mellow, right? People have enough cars, but still they want to buy a new car every 6 months or every year. Why? Because in accumulating all branded cars, they get pleasure, they get a mellow, right? Bob, what does mellow mean? Srila Prabhupada to Shyam Sundara. How do they define mellow? Shyam Sundar, taste or pleasure. Bob, okay. Srila Prabhupada, pleasing taste. So the Vedas say raso vai saha. The exact translation of mellow is rasa. Malati, Shyam Sundar's wife, enters with a tray of food. What is that? Malati, eggplant, eggplant fried. Srila Prabhupada, oh, all attractive, laughter. Shyam how is Krishna the greatest scientist? Srila Prabhupada, because he knows everything. A scientist is one who knows a subject matter thoroughly. He is a scientist. Krishna, he knows everything. Bob, I am presently a science teacher. Srila Prabhupada, yes, teaching. But unless you have perfect knowledge, how can you teach? That is our question. Bob, without perfect knowledge, though, you can teach. Srila Prabhupada, that is cheating. That is not teaching. That is cheating. Just like the scientists say, there was a chunk and the creation took place. Perhaps, maybe, what is this? Simply cheating. It is not teaching, it is cheating. Bob, let me repeat what you said this morning. That was interesting. I asked about miracles, and you said that only a fool would believe in miracles. Because let us say you are a child and an adult lifts this table. That's a miracle. Or you are a chemist and you combine acid and base and you make a smoke, an explosion, or whatever. To somebody ignorant, that's a miracle. But for everything, there is a process. And so, when you see a miracle, it is just ignorance of the process. So that only a fool would believe in miracles. And you correct me if I say wrong. Prabhupada, yes, yes. Bob, you said when Jesus came, the people then were somewhat more ignorant and needed miracles as aid. I wasn't sure if that's quite what you said, Srila Prabhupada. Yes, yes, miracles are for the ignorant. Bob, I had asked this in relation to all the miracle men you hear about in India. Srila Prabhupada, Krishna is the highest miracle man. Bob, yes. Prabhupada, that is stated by Kunti. Without perfect knowledge, can I not teach some things? For example, I may, Srila Prabhupada, you can teach up to the point you know. Bob, yes, but I should not claim to teach more than I know. Srila Prabhupada, yes, that is cheating. Shamasundara. In other words, he can't teach the truth with partial knowledge. Srila Prabhupada, yes, that is not possible for any human being. A human being has imperfect senses. So how can he teach perfect knowledge? Suppose you see the sun as a disk, you have no means to approach the sun. If you say that we can see the sun by telescope and this and that, they are also made by you and you are imperfect. So how can your machine be perfect? Therefore, your knowledge of the sun is imperfect. So don't teach about the sun unless you have perfect knowledge. That is cheating, Bob. But what about to teach that it is supposed that the sun is 93 crore miles away? Prabhupada, as soon as you say it is supposed, It is not scientific, Bob. But I think that almost all science, then is not scientific, Srila Prabhupada. That is the point. Bob, all science is based on, suppositions of this or that. Srila Prabhupada, yes, they are teaching imperfectly, just like they are advertising so much about the moon. Do you think their knowledge is perfect? Bob, no. Srila Prabhupada, then, Bob, what is the proper duty of the teacher in society? Let us say a science teacher, what should he be doing in the classroom? Srila Prabhupada, classroom? You should simply teach about Krishna. Bob, he should not teach about Srila Prabhupada. No, that will include everything. His aim should be to know Krishna. Bob, can a scientist teach the science of combining acid and alkaline and this kind of science with Krishna as its object? Srila Prabhupada, how can it be? Bob, when one studies science, one finds general tendencies of nature, and these general tendencies of nature point to a controlling force. Srila Prabhupada, that I was explaining the other day. I asked one chemist whether, according to chemical formulas, hydrogen and oxygen linked together become water. Do they not? Bob, it's true. Prabhupada. Now there is a vast amount of water in the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. What quantity of chemicals was required? Bob, how much? Srila Prabhupada, yes. How many tons? Bob, many. Srila Prabhupada, so who supplied it? Bob, this was supplied by God. Srila Prabhupada, somebody must have supplied it. Bob, yes. Srila Prabhupada, so that is science. You can teach like that. Bob, should one bother teaching that if you combine acid and alkaline, they form a neutral? Prabhupada, the same thing. There are so many effervescents. So who is performing it? Who is supplying the acid and alkaline? There is a long pause. Bob, so this comes from the same source as the water. Srila Prabhupada, yes. You cannot manufacture water unless you have hydrogen and oxygen. So here is a vast, not only this Atlantic or Pacific, there are millions of planets and there are millions of Atlantic and Pacific oceans. So who created this water with hydrogen and oxygen? And how was it supplied? That is our question. Somebody must have supplied it. Otherwise, how has it come into existence? Bob. But should it also be taught how you make water from oxygen, hydrogen and oxygen? The procedure of burning them together, should this also be taught? That is, you burn hydrogen and oxygen together, Srila Prabhupada. That is secondary. That is not very difficult. Just like Malati made this puri, a kind of bread. So there is flour and there is ghee, clarified butter, and she made a puri. But unless there is ghee and flour, where is the chance of making a puri? In the Bhagavad Gita, there is this statement: water, earth, air, fire, they are my energies. What is your body? This external body, that is your energy. Do you know that? Your body is made out of your energy. For example, Bob, I am eating. Bob, yes, Srila Prabhupada. So I am creating some energy and therefore my body is maintained. Bob, oh, I see, Srila Prabhupada. So therefore your body is made out of your energy. Bob, but when you eat the food, there is energy from the sun in the food. Prabhupada. So I'm giving an example. I am creating some energy by digesting the food, and that is maintaining my body. If your energy supply is not proper, then your body becomes weak and unhealthy. Your body is made out of your own energy. Similarly, this gigantic cosmic body, the universe, is made of Krishna's energy. How can you deny it? As your body is made out of your energy, similarly, the universal body must be made by somebody's energy. That is Krishna. So today, here we conclude. We will continue next week from the Bob's reply to the Prabhupada's answers. Thank you all for joining this session. Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Hari.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.